Here's what I've come to realize. Now, we all know no one can stay in childhood forever. That's just the way life works, but its essence, its magic, it can linger in those of us who choose to keep it in our hearts, who carry its spark forward into adulthood. While the games and adventures may change along life's path, the sense of wonder doesn't have to. So, what is the secret? What did I learn? Well, it's this.
Welcome back to Life's Learning Curve.
Welcome back.
Storytelling. Our own life stories, full of humor, some cringeworthy moments, and at times, a grander purpose. Did you ever wonder just how you became the person you are today? That's us. Storytelling. And now, here's your host, Paul Hart.
For most of us, our childhood was beautiful. It was bittersweet. It was a journey. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was a time when every day felt endless and the world brimmed with magic and imagination. But what's ironic is that I lived in a county back then, and the county's name was Childhood. It was called Childhood County. And it was this place where my afternoons, as I recall them, seemed golden. Where I learned not just the ABCs or how to ride a bike, but how to dream. But as it goes, one day, as the games began to feel smaller, my horizons narrower, and shadows of responsibility began to creep in, that was the bridge, and it was coming to adulthood, standing right there before me. And though it was staring me right in the eyes, as they say, I knew it was a journey that I had to take. Growing up isn't just about getting older. It's about carrying the best parts of childhood into your next chapter, where a different kind of world awaits. Today, I want to reflect on that journey and the courage that it took to cross that bridge, and the magic I was able to hold on to along the way throughout my own life. You're here for a great one today. Sebastian.
Life's Learning Curve. Episode 90. Childhood County. Stand by.
As I said in the open, I lived in this county, and the county was called Childhood County. It was a Midwestern county, not like any other. And here in this county, it seemed like every day was this addictive, like a Spin and Marty Disney-esque episode waiting to unfold, especially in the summertime. See, the way I remember it, the sky was a little bluer, the grass was just a little bit softer, and the hours stretched endlessly warm and full of promise. When I was 10 years old, my curious eyes, and I was really curious, asked a lot of questions. I believed with all my heart that there wasn't a more wonderful place to live in the entire world. See, during the days we played, and we played hard, and in the evenings, after the sun went down, I came back inside, sat down, I drew cartoons, and I wrote stories about what we had done that day, which turned out to be our adventures. The rules in Childhood County were pretty simple. As we were taught, laughter was mandatory, imagination was the law, and every corner of the world was worth exploring. During the days, my best friend Jeff and I spent most of our time chasing after those rules. We were box kite flyers. We ran through the fields. We climbed the tallest trees on our block.
Do you think these clouds, the puffy clouds, ever get tired of floating?
Jeff asked me one afternoon as we laid on the grass on our backs, staring up at the sky. I remember thinking about that for a moment, and then I said,
maybe they'll take turns, like, you know, how you and I trade off. One day we're pirates and the next day we're explorers.
Yeah, except clouds don't have to go to school, do they? Lucky.
School at that time was the one place where the magic of Childhood County faltered. In the dim, stuffy classroom, I remember one specific day when Mr. Dutmer stood at the front, droning on about fractions that day and history with the same lifeless tone. If we were supposed to learn about fractions or learn about history, at least he could have gotten excited about it. That room, I remember, always smelled like Old radiator. That's a good way to put it. Old radiator and chalk dust. And it smelled like boredom.
Now, class.
Mr. Dutmer said one particularly dreary afternoon.
You'll find life is not about fun and games, and the sooner you learn that, the better you will be. You need to prepare yourself for what's ahead. The adult world is demanding.
Demanding?
I remember that day like it was yesterday. Jeff leaned over to me in class and he whispered in my ear.
What does he mean by demanding? Is it like when my mom makes me clean my room?
Well, that made me smile, but I didn't answer. Mr. Dutmer's monotone continued, filling the air like a dull fog, and I had this feeling that if Dutmer ever got tired of teaching, he'd make a good bedtime storyteller.
When you children grow up, there are rules to follow, responsibilities to shoulder. You'll see soon enough. You will see.
He tapped the board with his ruler as if to punctuate the inevitability of his words, and I couldn't stand it. All right. So my mind drifted off to the creek, just beyond the schoolyard fence, imagining it sparkling in the sunlight. I nudged Jeff for a second, whispered,
Jeff, after school today, I'll race you to the creek. I bet I'll beat you this time.
In your dreams, Paul.
Jeff shot back with a grin. Jeff ran like a gazelle. Long legs.
As usual, I'll leave you so far behind, you'll think you're still in a class with Dutmer.
I laughed, earning a sharp look from Mr. Dutmer.
Oh, do you have something to share with the whole class, Paul?
I sat up straight, flashing a cheeky grin. I did say something that day. I said,
Actually, Mr. Dutmer, I was just wondering if we're learning about fractions because life is going to break us into smaller and smaller pieces as we grow up.
The class laughed a bit, and Jeff did too. Mr. Dutmer raised an eyebrow, very clearly unimpressed.
Ah, very clever, Paul, but if you spend half as much time on your studies as you do on looking out that window, you might find life's math a little less painful. Yes,
The class laughed again, and even Mr. Dutmer couldn't suppress a faint smirk before shaking his head. And as the lesson dragged on that day, I remember looking back out the large, streaky classroom window, where the sunlight danced on the leaves, and I wondered how anyone could live in a world without fun or freedom of time. But even as I felt the weight of the rules pressing down on the classroom, I knew that school day would end. After all, childhood was waiting just outside the schoolyard fence. Its horizons still boundless.
Yes,
For now.
Yeah, I know.
When summer came, I decided to make the most of what I was certain would be my last true season in childhood. Jeff and my other buddies mapped out our potential adventures. One thing we wanted to do, we would find secret caves. We knew there were some caves, some inlets near the gravel pits. Two, we would race our bikes to the farthest edges of town where the last house met the first cornfield. And number 3, we wanted to sleep under the stars one last time. Each event, each moment felt sharper and brighter, as if we were trying to memorize the essence of childhood before it actually slipped away from us. And then, every evening, I did the same thing. Came home, had dinner, talked to the family, cleaned up, and then I went down to my desk in the basement where I would cartoon and I would write stories about our adventures that day. I don't know why I did that, I just did. One day, during an afternoon of Kool-Aid and cloud watching, I ran into a former older neighborhood kid who had moved. It was Jimmy. Jimmy was now 16. I was still 10.
Hey, Jimmy.
Jimmy had left our county and was returning for a visit with his aunt for a week. And since Jimmy had left Childhood County, I assumed he had crossed into the next county over. That's what I thought as a kid. And I also assumed that county was probably called Adulthood County. Jimmy now wanted to be called Jim.
Jim.
Just Jim.
Yeah.
His eyes looked tired. I couldn't understand what was different, though, but he was different. Therefore, I bombarded him with questions.
Jim, what's it like over there in the other county next to us?
I sat up eagerly, waiting for Jim to answer. He hesitated a moment, and he ran a hand through his combed hair.
It's different. You gotta wake up early, follow rules, and you gotta work hard. Sometimes it's okay, but most of the time it's a lot.
Well, what kind of work?
Jim smiled a little bit and said,
Oh, you'll love this. Let me tell you about a few times I had to work hard.
Yeah?
First, there was a time I had to balance working a double shift at the diner while studying for a math test. And I ended up mixing up orders so bad that I served someone a milkshake with french fries in it.
Yeah?
The customer actually took a bite and said, this is weirdly good, son. And I still passed the test at school, but barely.
Okay, that's crazy.
Oh, it gets better. Now listen to this. One weekend, my mom made me babysit my little cousins while I was supposed to be fixing my bike.
Yeah.
I thought I'd be a genius and combine the two, So I gave them both wrenches and told them all three of us were going to be mechanics.
Okay.
The next thing I knew, they turned my bike into something that looked like a freak accident from Smitty's junkyard. And they cried when I tried to fix it back.
Jeff and I burst into laughter. That was funny for us. Our eyes were wide with disbelief.
For real?
Really?
Oh, yeah, that's real. Hey, and then there was the time I had to mow my neighbor's lawn. It was a big lawn. It was about, it's a little less than an acre. I wanted to earn some money for Hammond's concert ticket. Halfway through mowing, that mower broke down, so I tried to finish because I needed the money. I had a pair of scissors, and I used the scissors. My neighbor came out and saw me crawling through the grass using scissors, and he said to me, "Oh, son, you're taking this really seriously." I started laughing.
Did you get the job done?
Yeah, Jeff. Barely. But hey, listen, that's adulthood for you. It's half work and half comedy routine.
Jim's smirk faded into something softer.
Every now and then, I still find some pieces of childhood hiding in the corners.
Yeah?
Like what?
I asked.
Well, when you're walking home late at night and the stars look bright, like they did when you were 10 or your age or whatever.
Yeah?
Or when somebody tells a joke that's so stupid it just makes everyone laugh, even the serious ones. It's not the same, but it's enough. Yeah.
I didn't say anything for a while. Jim's stories had made me laugh, but they'd also left a strange ache in my chest. That night, for the first time, I did not write or cartoon my day's adventures. And as I lay in bed, I learned all about something new called anxiety and fear of the unknown. I realized that, I could hear it. Change. Faint change. It was coming fast. It was that bridge, the bridge to adulthood, on its way. A few seasons passed, and the day came when I metaphorically stood at the edge of that bridge. But in the same metaphoric way, it seemed like my friends were there to see me off. Their laughter sounded kind of sad to me, and I clutched a satchel filled with mementos, a smooth stone from the creek, a jar of fireflies that still glowed faintly, even in the daylight, and of course, my writings and cartoons. My childhood history. That day, as I crossed that bridge, I felt my heart grow even heavier, as if pieces of my own childhood were slipping away with each step. On the other side, the colors were duller, the air thicker. Adulthood was a land of straight lines and somber faces. The people moved quickly, their eyes fixed ahead, their laughter muted. I tried to adapt and learn the rules, follow the schedules, and tried to keep up with the others, but in the quiet moments when the world seemed to slow down, I opened the satchel and I let the memories of childhood flood back. I held that smooth stone and I swear I could still feel the cool water of the creek. I opened up the jar to let the fireflies light up the dark corners of my mind. But mostly, I had the rough cartoons and stories of my childhood to read and to reread and remember. And I could still hear the echoes of my friends' laughter.
Down by the cave. Let's go.
Come home. To come home. Look for the light and you'll know I'm home. You see by the light when I am home.
Many years have passed, and though I've grown older, I've made a choice, a promise to myself to not let my heart grow stale. So I've carried pieces of my childhood with me throughout my years, sprinkling its magic into the grayness of adulthood. You can see it. Well, for me, it's in my screenplays. It's in my naive attitudes toward things sometimes, and it's the way I approach life. And especially in this podcast, Life's Learning Curve, this one. So through the years, I've shared what I've learned, encouraging others to remember their own childhoods, to revisit the wonder, the adventure, the imagination that shaped who they are. When I was teaching, I had my students write daily about their lives for 7 minutes. The big moments, the small little moments, the seemingly unimportant details. Why? Because it all matters. Every single bit of it. Here's what I've come to realize. Now, we all know no one can stay in childhood forever. That's just the way life works, but its essence, its magic, it can linger in those of us who choose to keep it in our hearts, who carry its spark forward into adulthood. And that's where I found my purpose. So I've become kind of a bridge, a guide for those navigating this transition, helping them see that while the games and adventures may change along life's path, the sense of wonder doesn't have to. So what is the secret? What did I learn? Well, it's this. Growing up doesn't mean letting go of your dreams. It means learning how to weave them into this fabric of who you are in the world you live in right now. If you keep your heart open and your imagination alive, you'll find the magic of childhood is not left behind. It walks with you, hand in hand, into whatever comes next. Listen, you can leave the county of childhood, but it never truly leaves you. For Life's Learning Curve, I'm Paul Hart. Subscribe to Life's Learning Curve at lifeslearningcurve.org and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or Podchaser.
This Season 7 episode of Life's Learning Curve was produced by Sebastian T., Dog, and Paul Hart. Find us just about everywhere podcasts are heard. Visit our website, lifeslearningcurve.org. While you're there, subscribe. We'd love to have you aboard. This episode has imaginative voice creations to protect the privacy of others. Some names have been changed and characters conflated. Episode 90, Childhood County. For more true stories from our life's archives, you'll find us again right here on Life's Learning Curve.